I felt strongly that there was a need for a niche extreme metal magazine, that that market was not served properly in the US. There was no definitive metal magazine in my mind. I started working on it in like early 2004, and by late summer 2004 we were ready to go with issue 1. I started working on Choosing Death in 2002, and it was a really interesting process for me because it allowed me to get really deep into the scene in terms of like contacts and band guys and managers and label people and producers and A&R guys, and all of a sudden it was just like a completely different plane of people in the industry that I got to know and kind of forge relationships with. And I think in a lot of ways that kind of helped pave the way a little bit for Decibel to be taken seriously out of the gate. I had all these deep contacts that I could go to and say, hey, you know, I'm starting this metal magazine. Is this something that, like, you know, I'd like to get this band involved, or I'd really like your label to advertise, or, you know, we really want to be involved in this thing, this tour that's happening, or this event, or this festival, whatever it is. And the magazine's premiere issue and the book were like really within months of one another, maybe even just a month of one another. So they really kind of fed off each other in terms of one promoting the other for like this snowball effect of like one pushing the other, and it was really helpful, I think, in getting the magazine off the ground, certainly. In about 2012, I had an idea that I should really do a 10-year anniversary version of the book with expanded content and kind of update things that had happened for the past decade. Feral House, who had published the original version of the book, originally agreed to do this version also. But we weren't really on the same page in terms of production and what the book should be. Like, they just kind of wanted to throw it out there. I mean, I did all the design with a designer myself. I got the cover done by Dan Seagrave, who did a lot of classic death metal records in the early 90s by Morbid Angel and Entombed and Dismember and stuff like that. Feral House just seemed a little bit apathetic about it, so I was just kind of like, all right, maybe I need to take control of this. With the help of Decibel's publisher, Alex Mulcahy, we bought the rights to it, which was not cheap, but it allowed us to kind of take control of it and do like a version that we really, really always wanted to do. Hardcover, it's 100 more pages than the last version. It's a complete redesign. It's got the Dan Seagrave art. It's 3 new chapters, and you don't want to feel like anybody feels like they're getting ripped off or disappointed in some way. From a production level, I really wanted to kind of go the extra mile with it, and I wanted it to look badass, and like I wanted people to hold it and just be like, oh yeah, all right, this is worth it. I'm happy with this. I don't want anybody to get it and feel like, I wish I didn't spend $30 on that or whatever. I wanted them to just like feel really good about the investment. That's kind of the way I feel about all the stuff that we do, whether it's the monthly magazine itself or the special issues that we do or the tour. Whatever we do, we like really put everything we have into it, and it creates a lot of stress and uncertainty and borderline insanity at times. But I think at the end of the day, people kind of identify Decibel as synonymous with quality, you know, like, you know, the Decibel Tour, it's going to give you a good show. You know the magazine is going to deliver in terms of its content, whether it's the cover stories or the Hall of Fame articles, or if you're a vinyl nerd, the Flexi series is going to be awesome to hear. It's a limited amount of stuff we can do because we just don't have time for all of it, but we know that when we invest that time, we're giving it everything we have, because the end product just has to be awesome. Because otherwise, it's just like, why fucking bother? Why ask people to buy something that you wouldn't want to buy yourself? In a lot of ways, like, it's kind of the guiding aesthetic with everything that we do. You know, just try not to half-ass anything. You know, in 2015, you're getting more people subscribing to the magazine and buying it now than they were 5 years ago. The tour was an idea that was kind of something that I could curate and put bands together that are basically a reflection of what we do with the magazine. Because the Decibel umbrella is fairly wide, but it's really clear what belongs in there and what doesn't. We can have some really disparate artists on the cover from month to month, but it still all works and it still all makes sense. The idea was, why can't you do that with a tour? Like, why can't we do something that are bands that are complementary in some way, and interesting combinations. The first year we did it, it was In Solitude, The Devil's Blood, Watain, and Behemoth. Nothing really connected them sonically. They were connected by an aesthetic, and that was like Satan. It's like Satanism. This year, with At the Gates, Converge, Pallbearer, and Vallenfyre, I'm just really proud of that lineup, that it's those 4 bands which are very distinct in their sound, especially when the tour is happening. There's a lot of running around. You could fall too deep into it, and then all of a sudden you're like, we got the tour to promote, we've got the book to release and get out there. We've got to make sure these masters are in for these flexi discs by such and such a date, and it's all of a sudden like, oh fuck, there's a 100-page magazine, don't forget about that. You can kind of get frazzled, and you kind of end up doing a lot of things you didn't plan on doing. You kind of sacrifice sleep, all those responsibilities you have as a parent, and then get the kids to bed, and then instead of you going to bed, you just get back up and you just start working again until you kind of pass out, because you know there's just like no windows to do anything. It's a lot to handle, but at the end of the day, my job is to tell people about death metal. So, you know, it could be worse.